Hello everybody, thank you. Thank you for joining us for this webinar and making us a part of your day. During this webinar, we will be discussing two of the features that will be released with ETAP 14. The first one is the data block, which is a new way in ETAP to select which properties and results to show on your one-line diagram. The second enhancement is to the theme manager. Now the theme manager is currently in ETAP, but we have added features that were highly requested from our users. So we'd like to thank all our users for sending those requests because they made a big ETAP on the ETAP 14 release. We will be going over examples on applying these features so that you are well aware of what to expect when the new release is finished. We have created the data block so that users can select from any property or result within the database to display on the one-line diagram. Also, if you are using ETAP real-time, you can select which tags you would like to display so that you can customize which real-time monitoring points you want to view on the one-line or any operator display screen. I will be bringing up in the ETAP software so that we can easily see how to create a data block and share data block templates across your organization. The editor will show us how to easily create, edit, and share these templates so that everyone in your team has a consistent way of displaying the information on the one-line diagram. So give me a second, I'm going to bring up ETAP here so we can switch and do some examples with our data block. Now as we notice here on the ETAP one-line diagram, as many of you are familiar with, we have many different annotations currently displayed. And these annotations are selected from our display options editor. So within here you can select if you want to show the ID, rating, voltage, current. This is the way it's currently done in ETAP. So we have these options selected as they are. Now there's a new toolbar that you'll notice for the data block toolbar. And essentially, to select the data block editor, we'll open up the editor, and then I have a list of devices I can choose from. Now if I know what type of device I want to edit, I can select the filter to minimize that list so that it's easier to find the elements that I want to select from. Also, depending on the selected device, we have a list of properties and results that you can pick for that equipment. So in this currently constructed data block, I see that I have an AC bus selected with the ID, the voltage, continuous ramps, and the bus type. Now once I've selected these options simply by clicking, I can do a small preview on this screen here. So all I did is collect data block preview, and it'll preview what I've created on this screen. I can change the order in which they're displayed, and also I can format it differently. So once I select the value, I can bold, italicize, underline, left align, center align, or right align. I can simply change these within the editor. Once I've constructed it to the way I'd like, I'll click OK, and we can turn on the data block. This option here has me globally turn on the data block selected. Now you can see that we have two options. We can keep the annotations that we previously had along with a newly constructed data block, or I can simply come in here and undo the options for display options and only show the data block. So it's up to the user. You can do display options, you can do data blocks, or you can do a combination of both. Now within these data blocks, I also have the options if I have selected motors that I don't want to see or any equipment. I can simply select these devices. I can select this motor, right click, we have data block, and I can show. This here will hide the data block for a specific element. And I have different locations where I can do this. Within our project system toolbar, I see a list of all of the buses I have here in the folder. And for any bus, I can simply select to turn the data block on and off. So even though you create a data block for all of the buses or all of the loads or per equipment within the project, you can individually turn them on and off per component. Now currently I have a LoadFlow DB for properties, LoadFlow data block for properties. I've also created one for results. So I can switch to LoadFlow results, and then this data block's blank, so when I come in here and run a LoadFlow, you'll see that the results are populated for all the data blocks in my project. Now I can very easily edit this data block, so if I come in here, I can add some results. So one of the examples I can do is, let's go to results, and let's say I want to combine LoadFlow and short circuit. So I come in here and I throw in asymmetrical, peak, and symmetrical, and I want to move peak to the top of that list. Now on my bus I have results for LoadFlow and short circuit. Also, don't forget, I do have the option to add properties within the same data block as well. They don't have to be isolated, I just happen to create them that way. So within this data block, I can make a data block combining results from different modules as well as properties and results all in one data block. And of course, for the buses, the short circuit results are blank because we haven't run short circuit. Now another difference you'll notice is when I switch to short circuit mode, my LoadFlow results in the data block are still active. Now previously in ETAP, when you switch modes, the results, if I was in LoadFlow and I ran a LoadFlow study and I switched to short circuit, all the LoadFlow results would be removed. But now I can keep them. The benefit of that is when I run a short circuit, it populates the short circuit results, and now I have LoadFlow and short circuit results combined in a singular data block. So now we can have the results on our one-line diagram from multiple studies combined into a singular data block. So I previously mentioned that we won't remove the results when you change modes. Also, what we're doing is if you change the value within one of the editors of any of the equipment, so if I change this motor to 300 horsepower, once I click to apply that, what you'll notice is the data block didn't get changed as well. So in the data blocks, we're holding the results until you rerun the study, thus allowing you to remember what it previously was right before you rerun to get the updated results. Now in this case we are showing LoadFlow and short circuit, but also in the first release you'll be able to do arc flash results as well. So we'll have LoadFlow, short circuit, arc flash results. Instead of building new ones, I just wanted to mention that so everyone knows you will be able to apply arc flash conditions in ETAP 14 as well. And another thing you may have noticed is every time I'm moving these data blocks, you'll see this dashed line. What this dashed line represents is it tells you when you're moving it, it continuously lets you know which equipment that data block has been built for. So whether I'm moving this data block, I know right away it's for this motor or for this bus. Additionally, we provide an option to permanently keep that dashed line active so you can see quickly where all your data blocks are meant for. Of course, this option you can turn on or turn off, but it allows you to easily identify if you've done movement to the data blocks where it's done for. Because as you see here, our data blocks are actually free floating. So with our previous annotations, you have a radius by which you can move the annotations around. For our data blocks, you can actually move them wherever you want. Now the benefit for that is I can create off to the side, I can create a list of data blocks and print this section from a page preview, and I can print a page of just data blocks created. So I'm almost creating custom reports in a sense, because I can move all the data blocks away from my one line, move them off into empty space, and in my print preview option I can go to print preview and page setup and line them up so that they're printed on their individual pages. But in this case, I'm just going to quickly use Control Z to move them back to their previous location. And again, if you need to double check what that belonged to make sure it moved back correctly, I can just turn on the dashed lines and it'll automatically tell me which devices that those data blocks belong to. So now we've seen buses and motors. We also have other equipment we'd want to see as well. Now, so far I've shown the data block for the bus and the motors, but we also have other elements that we can display. You can display data blocks for any element in ETAP. So as another example, I have a data block called ANSI AC low voltage circuit breaker plus thermal magnetic. And now, again, one of our highly user requested features is being able to display the manufacturer model on the one-line diagram. So within this data block, I will be able to display the manufacturer models. You see here I have a Cutler Hammer HMCP device. So for our circuit breakers, fuses, relays, you can create these data blocks for different protective devices. In this example, again, I have a circuit breaker displayed, but you will now be able to show the manufacturer model and all of the device settings as well. So if I double click on the data block to bring up the editor, I've created one with this information that you see here, but I do have a list of properties and all of the ratings and characteristics that make up this low voltage circuit breaker, the short time band, the long time band. If I had a solid state trip device, all the trip devices are included as well. Here's all the thermomagnetic properties. I can easily add these to the data blocks to create a more encompassing data block. That's all user defined options. As a user, you can decide whether you want to add whatever properties you want to add to your protective devices. So again, we can do them for different components. As well as protective devices, we can create data blocks for cables. And now one thing to note, our display options previously, you were able to create display options for cables. So on the cable here, you can select certain items that you wanted to show. But now with a data block, we can select these items for our equipment cables as well. So when I have an equipment cable that I've selected within the motor editor, again, I have an equipment cable here selected within the motor, and what that does is it allows me to add cables and do not account for a bus at the motor terminal. So I can create this cable, I can create, and there's no bus in between the cable and the motor, and then through the data block I can show different characteristics of that cable on the one-line diagram. So this is another enhancement for ETAP 14, and the data block allows us to show properties through the equipment cable. Now I'm going to go back to our previous data block for the load flow results, and I want to show you some of the other specific features we've added to data block. Now, we previously had the load flow and short circuit results displayed within the same data block as you see for this bus. Now, what I didn't mention, one of the options you can do, the reason why I'm showing load flow and short circuit together is because this is a global data block. We're in load flow mode. If I want only load flow results to show while I'm in load flow mode, I can make this a local data block, and you'll notice when you do local, you can create all the results from different modules that you want in one data block. But as soon as you assign that data block to local, it will only display the results based on the mode that you're in. So this makes it very user-friendly. I can quickly decide if I want to show the results just for the mode I'm in, make the data block mode dependent, or I can make it a global data block which allows me to display all of the results from any study independent of the mode that I'm in. So this is a very nice feature to quickly isolate the results based on the mode that you're in. Also, what you'll see, right now the results are in a tabular view. We show spaces in between the identification, the name, the result, and the unit. Now, some people may decide that they want to collapse this so the words or the values display in a word format. This is kind of like an Excel table where it's a tabular way of viewing the information. You also have the option to compress it. So when the data blocks are compressed, we'll add a semicolon, and then you'll see that it's in a compressed view, so you're looking at it more from a document perspective than a table perspective. So these are all options we've added so that the user can customize and view the data block the way that they want to do it. Adds very nice features and capabilities to this powerful data block tool. Other features we've added are the ability to globally hide and display the data block. I showed you per element. I can also do a global based on all selected elements. And now if I want to temporarily see this data blocks that I've decided to turn off, I can easily add on a tooltip. We can turn on a tooltip so that I can point to the motor and then get a quick glimpse of the data block that was previously shown. So I may not want to show them permanently, but for a temporary basis I can display my tooltip, which contains the data block information as well. Again, these are all features that we've added to make this very user definable and very easy to work with and get you the information that you need quickly and efficiently for your project. With that, we've gone through an overview of many of the features and capabilities coming out with the data block. And again, I also want to mention one more time that even though we stuck to certain equipment for this preview, for this webinar, you will be able to do data blocks for much more equipment than what I've shown in this example. So of course, if you want to do relays and other such equipment, reclosers, contactors, for any device in ETAP, you will be able to do the data block. So if I didn't show it, it does not mean that you cannot do it. It just means that from our time constraints and examples perspective, these items were the ones created for this webinar. If you do have questions on data blocks, of course, you can contact us at any time, ask more specific question. We can go over it individually with you if you contact us and want to talk one-on-one more about the data blocks that are being released. And we always love to take enhancements from our users. So if there's specific features you need, go ahead and give us a call, let us know, and we'll be happy to work with you and see if we can get it in for the next release. Now let's talk about the other new feature that we're going to discuss for ETAP 14. Currently, ETAP does have a theme editor. So we're all familiar with the theme editor, those of us that have used ETAP, and we're very familiar with most of the tabs that are included in the theme editor. Now the theme editor allows us to change the way our one-line diagram looks. It allows us to change the presentation. We can color code based on equipment type, the phase. We can color code based on voltage levels. All this was already currently in ETAP. Now we've added another tab to the theme editor, and this is our layer tab. Essentially, the layer tab was added so that we can easily identify which devices we want to show and hide within our one-line diagram. So in my one-line model, if I wanted to remove all of the loads, not remove electrically, they're going to be included no matter what. But if I don't want to display them, if I want a one line without my loads, all I have to do is uncheck the show on loads. When I hit OK, you'll notice all my loads will no longer be shown. So it's a very easy, convenient way to remove elements by device type. If I want to hide my protective devices, I see my breaker here. I have circuit breaker shown. If I bring back the loads and remove protective devices, you'll notice that the breakers are now removed. We also have relays in this project, so if I were to hide my relays, I very easily can just create relays and CTs and PTs, and now my relays are hidden. It's a very easy way to decide which devices are going to be shown and which are going to be hidden. Also, we can decide to show and hide based on the state the device is in. So let's say I'm going to add this load in the future. We put it on our one-line diagram in our base project, but I can identify the state as future. So all of this equipment has now been updated to future. And if I don't want to show my future on a printout, I'm going to print this out, give it to a customer, or give it to another engineer, and we don't want to show what's going to be built in the future. We're going to have a one-line diagram for future and one for current. if this one's the one for current, I can take my future devices, anything that's assigned to future, make it fully transparent, and now that motor is hidden. If you want to see it slightly, I can come in here and say let's make it 50% transparent. And you'll see it's grayed out slightly. So now we can easily show and hide anything that's in the present versus future. And that's not it. Those were two examples, but essentially you can decide how you want to show equipment in all of the states that we have. So based on transparency, you can show it fully transparent or non-transparent. If it's new, future, moved, modified, removed. That's all user definable with our new theme editor. Also, when I run a result, I'm going to run a load flow study. When I run a result, you can see the precision that we have. Another tab that's been added is our Formats tab, and this allows us to customize the precision per unit result. Currently I'm showing kilowatt units, kilowatt and kvar. So if I go into kilowatt and decide on precision, anything less than, I want to show this at 1, I only want 1 decimal places for my kilowatt units. I select 1 here, and you'll notice that all the kilowatts that now have shown to the 1 decimal place. This also gives us the option to hide 0 values. So if we've selected any results on the one line that actually do not have a result or equate to 0, it'll automatically hide those from your one-line diagram. Or if you create a precision that has zeros behind the decimal place, it will automatically suppress those zeros if this is selected. And you can do this for any result in ETAP. So we go through and we see different results, and this allows us to create the precision for all different results in all of our different studies. So I wanted to go over these new features for ETAP 14 within the data block and the theme. And again, if you want to see any of what we talked about in more detail or discuss it with us, please call us or get a hold of us. We'll be happy to work with you, answer any of the questions you may have. Also with questions, we are going to be staying online for an extra 10 minutes and answering any Q&A within this presentation. So feel free to ask questions in the GoToWebinar pan. We'll be answering them, and of course, even if you have questions at a later date, we'll be happy to help you with that as well. Again, thank you for your time today. Hope this presentation gave you good information on some of the features coming out with ETAP 14.